I think as we started to learn more about this privacy conscious future, this cookieless world, the Apple iOS changes, regulation like GDPR, CCPA that prioritize opt-in data, we started thinking more about what the future of data collection will look like. And our thesis is that people need to be compensated when they share their data.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah.
So Swish, like I sort of did a deep dive in you. I'm sort of like, you've been in the entrepreneurial game for like ages. You've been in it
Oh,
for the
wow.
last 6, 7 years. You're like an OG entrepreneur before like internet marketing and
Yeah.
making money online was a thing. Tell me a bit about your story and what you do, man.
For sure. So growing up, never actually wanted to be an entrepreneur. It's worth noting. Like I wanted to be a lawyer when I went to college. I debated quite a bit in high school. I debated for the national team in Canada for 3 years, and it allowed me to go to a bunch of world competitions. Typically, if you debate at a high level, you either want to get into politics or law, and I thought law was going to be my calling. In my first year of college, I was able to build a pretty massive Instagram account for basketball fans. So I worked with my partner, Elliot, who was actually based out of Sweden at the time. And we decided to build out this account at Dunk, at DUNK on Instagram. So by the end of my second year, it had grown to about 1.5 million followers. It's currently at 2.7. And I decided to drop out of school, move to New York, lived there for about 2 years. We grew the overall network, which had now 21 accounts, 11 million followers overall across Instagram, TikTok, and Snapchat. And we started working with brands like Gatorade, Warner Music, Sony Music to promote their content on our channels. So that whole experience taught me a ton about community building, which I've used for myself personally on LinkedIn and on Instagram. And it also taught me a lot about the data and metrics that brands care a lot about. And through that experience of learning a lot more about data, I thought maybe building a company that gave people compensation for their data and provided high fidelity user data to companies would be a smart idea. And that was kind of the genesis of Surf 4.5 years ago when we started it. We're obviously, I'm still working on Surf full time, but throughout that kind of time of building Surf out, I started speaking. I, started writing a book, which I was able to release this year. Started posting a lot on social media. So a lot of other things came up while I was kind of building this business, Surf.
That's amazing. Majority of Surf's growth, do you think, have you been relying mainly on paid traffic or organic?
Great question. So we've gotten about 35,000 downloads from paid advertising. So influencer marketing, paid ads, and giveaways at a pretty healthy CAC. Like our CAC for influencer marketing is $4. For paid ads, it's $1.95. And for giveaways, it's $1.20. So pretty decent numbers in terms of customer acquisition costs. But yeah, we're close to 250,000 users. So we've gotten over 200,000 users organically, either through referrals, so people just telling their friends and family members about Surf, or through our customers, like our brand customers like Amazon Prime Gaming, Electronic Arts, and HP have promoted Surf to their audience to get them to download the extension and check it out.
Tell me about the business model. So I understand it's people can sort of use the platform. It's sort of all the information is anonymous. People can actually get points in return for sharing the information. Please share with everyone a bit more about the sort of business model.
Sure. On the consumer side, we're only available in North America right now, so US and Canada. We are actually launching in the UK November 15th. So I'm very amped about getting out to the UK. It's the biggest country on our wait list. And we'll look at a few other European countries in the kind of Q1, Q2 period of 2023. I think right now, when you sign up, you go through an onboarding flow. Again, we don't ask you for your first and last name or any personally identifiable info. We ask you for your age, your gender, your location, so high-level demographic info so we can bucket you appropriately. And then it's entirely passive. So once you download the extension and start sharing data, we don't ask you, to take surveys or watch ads or click specific links to get that sort of data. You're just browsing the internet like you normally would, sharing data directly with us and getting points back that you can use for items, gift cards, discounts. You can donate your points to charity, and you can also enter your points into a giveaway. So there's a lot of optionality in what people can do with their points. We then take all of that data, which is anonymized, we put it into a dashboard and then allow brands like Netflix, L'Oreal, United Talent Agency to understand user behavior on the internet by buying a subscription to that platform.
Got it. So the moment the user installs the app, is it starting to collect the information right off the bat, or do they have to trade and be like, hey, I want to sell my information for points, or is it ongoing?
It's ongoing. So right away, when you download the extension and turn it on, which you have to turn it on, you're going to start sharing data with us. There's a few things to note. I mean, number one, through the onboarding process, we do try to instruct people very clearly what data we collect and what we do with that data. Transparency is one of our key values at the company. So we're not trying to hide away from the fact that we do collect user data. We're also not trying to hide away from the fact that we sell it. We are very much trying to keep our users in the loop. And then the second thing is, at any point while you're sharing data, if you as a consumer want to manage that data, you can do that. So if you want to, go in and delete certain items and you don't want to share with us, you can do that in 24 hours. And you can immediately start deleting data that you don't want to share, and we wouldn't obviously get it. So we're, again, along with compensation and transparency, we are also trying to protect people's privacy. We are also trying to give people control over their data.
Interesting. And during the onboarding process, do people just put in their age and gender, or what is sort of required?
Yeah, you put in your email, which is obviously just to verify that you're a human being. We put in your age range, actually, not even your specific age, it's a range. So 18 to 26, 26 to 35, 35 to 50, etc. And then finally, you put in your gender and location. So gender, you can obviously click, I prefer not to say, male, female. We have a bunch of other options as well, if you obviously fit into any of those other categories. And then in terms of location, we're obviously available in every city in North America. So you just put in your location, what city you reside in, you get immediately into the platform. There's actually a ton of early points we give our users just for signing up. So you'll have enough points when you sign up to literally go in and redeem a reward if you wanted to. I don't know if it's a reward you necessarily want, but that's a different story. But if you are skeptical and you're like, I don't think Surf is going to work, you can actually immediately go and redeem a reward. You'll get the reward in your inbox, and hopefully that validates to you that we're not, we're not a scam. This is totally legitimate. We're, a venture-backed company, good credibility, etc.
What type of rewards do you guys offer?
Yeah. So right now it is predominantly discounts that we offer that are exclusive though. Like these are discounts you can't find on Honey, for example. So the discounts we offer either are percentage off purchases, so like 15% off your next purchase, or it's fixed amount off, so like $20 off your next purchase. So the cool thing about having a variability in that is like, obviously, $20 off your next purchase sounds great, but imagine you got like a 25% off next purchase code and you bought something for $200. I mean, that's obviously, $50 right there. So the kind of variability in savings is pretty great. We also have some items that we offer, like luxury items. You definitely have to save up your points for 5 to 6 months in order to get them. But we've had some users that have gotten like a Nintendo Switch or AirPods directly from our platform, which is pretty cool. We have some gift cards. And then we also have some charities as well that you can donate your points to. So we have Sea Shepherd, which is a UK charity that works on marine life conservation. We have the Canadian Red Cross, the American Red Cross, as well as the Canadian Indigenous Association. So a ton of really cool charities that you can donate your points to. And then the final thing is you can also use your points to enter giveaways. So if you don't even care about a $10 off next purchase code or a $20 gift card, and you just want to enter, the chance to win a $300 prize, you can do that. We're giving away headsets monthly. We're giving away calendars. We're giving away clothing. We actually gave away a Tesla Model 3 in our first 3 months of creating the extension. So we have like wild giveaways. Now they're all fully subsidized. So we have brand partners that fully cover the cost of that. But early on, obviously, we were covering the cost of all our rewards.
Are the brand partners the same brands that probably use your platform?
No, that's a great question. Great question. They're separate. So we have about 50 data customers and we have about 100 reward partners. So it isn't mandatory if you're coming on to get access to our platform for data that you also provide a reward. And again, it's also not mandatory that if you're providing a reward, you buy a subscription to our analytics platform. For the rewards partners, we don't charge them anything. They don't charge us. You might be asking, like, what's the incentive then? Why does Reebok Canada or Ulta Beauty or Daniel Wellington join our rewards program? It's because they're looking for a cheaper customer acquisition channel. So for them, Reebok Canada, for example, their paid ads CAC is $55 on Facebook. If they could provide a $20 off next purchase code in our marketplace and get a customer from that, it's a win for them. So they're just finding a cheaper customer acquisition channel and trying to be able to promote to our user base that is obviously growing pretty quickly.
That's so amazing, Swish. How have you been able to balance all the data customers, the sort of promotional clients and companies you work, and acquisition? There's so many different parts you're sort of juggling. How have you been doing it all?
I think we found a way to make them all work. Like I said, the biggest channels for customer acquisition right now, or like user acquisition, sorry, have been referrals. So there's not a lot of work we had to do there. It's just product-led acquisition had been like the biggest driver of downloads. And then the second is customer giveaways. So when our customers, for example, like HP or Amazon Prime Gaming are running a giveaway in our marketplace, they're actually promoting it on Twitter, they're promoting it on Instagram as well, and leading to a ton of users for us. So that's one, is I think we've done a good job of kind of finding a way to align incentives and get our team to be very focused on key priorities. And then secondly, obviously building out the team, team of 22 people now full time. We also have a bunch of interns. We have a bunch of contractors as well that work with us. And so, it's been pretty great to be able to have a full-fledged team that can support reward partners, data customers, and, have a marketing team that can focus on acquiring users.
When it comes to pitching your sort of service and your value towards data customers or rewards customers, like how do you get to like Amazon Gaming? Like do you go on LinkedIn, look for like a head of Amazon and just send them a message on LinkedIn?
Sometimes, honestly. With Amazon Prime Gaming, though, they came as a customer referral from Polaris. So we've had a lot of our existing customers refer us to other people as well. It's been pretty great to see that. We have a customer advisory board of 8 customers that we meet with quarterly. They're like our biggest customers. And in that meeting, we tend to ask for referrals and introductions to other brands that might be helpful as well. So that's number one. We have a bunch of inbound traffic as well. So like Sequoia Capital, for example, came through our contact request form. We get a ton of clicks just when people search up zero-party data generation, or when they search up GDPR compliant giveaways, or when they search up privacy conscious world or cookieless world data. They'll be able to hopefully see us right away. And then finally, like you mentioned, right, cold outreach, LinkedIn, email. We'll do anything we need to try to get in front of somebody. The good thing is we have all these big logos. So we have case studies built out, we have audience reports built out, and we tend to attach that in a lot of the correspondence that we send out.
That's amazing. One thing I've always been curious, like, do browsers store and collect all your information? So like I use Google Chrome. Do they know when I'm on Facebook, when I'm on like Netflix, when I'm on like Daily Mail? Do they store all that data, or do they just store search data?
Yeah, they typically just store search data, which is how they know all about kind of where to send you an ad and like what ad to give you, because they know what you're searching. Obviously, some websites like Facebook will collect data on what you're doing on Facebook, but they wouldn't know what you're doing outside of Facebook, right? So that's a cool thing, and where kind of our data comes into play is that we're not just getting search related data. We're getting data on like the Instagram profiles you bounce in between, the YouTube videos you frequently watch, the places that you shop at, the places you've abandoned your cart. We know all of that information in an anonymized way that we can then go and arm a brand to help them position their brand more effectively to you.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like you guys are an extension, so you guys have like the highest quality data, like even more data than a search browser itself.
Yeah, and the cool thing is, again, even on Google, for example, like they don't necessarily get self-declared location, gender, age data, right? So unless you're signed in with your Google account, a lot of times they don't actually know who their users are. They just know what you're searching. So we do go a little bit deeper in terms of the data we collect. But again, we're complementary to a lot of these companies as well, right? Like we're complementary to Google because we don't incentivize you to get off Chrome. We incentivize you to actually stay on Chrome. We just compensate you for your current browsing experience.
How does your extension tag all the different sites? Like, let's say I go on hellokitty.com. Yeah. What are you guys going to be tagging that as? Like, are you guys going to be tagging that as like e-commerce, social?
Yeah, that's the cool part of our platform is, we obviously source data and we visualize it, but really what's proprietary is what we do to enrich the data. So the best example I tend to give is YouTube, for example. Like we will know when you go to a YouTube video, but when you look at the URL, which we collect, it's very cryptic on YouTube. It's like youtube.com/ a bunch of letters and numbers. And so what we are able to do is take a look at that URL, bring it into our system, and then we're able to auto-populate the title of the video, the length of the video, the category of the video, how many comments the video had, to understand a little bit more about the content you're watching, to be able to then give obviously better insights to our customers. So a lot of the enrichment we do is incredibly proprietary. In order to do that, we do connect to various APIs like the YouTube API, for example. And that's obviously a big part of our special sauce when it comes to not only sourcing data and visualizing it, but enriching it as well.
That's amazing. So I guess what type of data are your data customers paying for? Like let's say you have my data. You know that I like watching videos on anime, videos about business. You see that I'm shopping for like an air fryer. Like, what would that all mean then?
Yeah, it's a great question. So the two offerings that we provide, one is the intelligence side, the second is engagement. So on the intelligence side, what we basically provide a company is user behavior data and pathways to purchase. So we show a brand, here are people in our user base. Here's what they're looking at in terms of the sites they go to, the publications they read, the searches they make on Google, the searches they make on TikTok, the streamers they follow, the videos they watch, etc. You can obviously filter all of that information as well. You could be like 18 to 24-year-old males in Toronto that have visited Nike.com in the last 3 months. I want to now look at their browsing behavior specifically and take a look at what they're doing on the internet. The second thing we also provide is, within intelligence is pathways to purchase. So how did somebody end up on Nike.com and end up buying? Not just one click before and one click after, which is what Google Analytics provides, but like 10 clicks before, 10 clicks after, the most frequent pathway to purchase. What did that look like? Because again, we collect user journey data across every site you go to the minute you open your laptop and get onto the internet. So that's number one is intelligence. The second thing is engagement. So if you're now really interested in potentially getting in front of these consumers, you can obviously provide a reward in our marketplace, and you can also run a giveaway. So Amazon Prime Gaming, for example, they just ran a giveaway. And the cool thing about running a giveaway is I, as a surf user, can use my points to enter it, but I can also provide my email and phone number directly to Amazon for a higher likelihood to win. So like more entries in the giveaway. And so Amazon Prime Gaming is not just getting web data then, they're also getting emails and phone numbers from users who are fully opting in to sharing their email and phone number just with Amazon Prime Gaming in order to get a higher likelihood to win their giveaway.
Now, are you guys, when like a company like Amazon Prime does a giveaway, would you then sort of giving them access to only the people that have history with, say, gaming and viewed something related to gaming, or are you going to have that giveaway apply to your whole user base?
So that's a great question. The giveaway will be available to everyone. Everyone could see it. But we will send push notifications through the extension. We will send an email that's very targeted to people who have kind of an inclination towards gaming and towards gaming related content. So we do target people with offers and rewards based on their browsing behavior. But again, everybody will see it in the marketplace. So if you do come onto the marketplace as a user, even if you weren't into gaming, you will see the Amazon Prime Gaming giveaway.
Yeah, because I was just trying to think, because if you sort of do a targeted list, you can offer much higher CPMs if you're charging it by the CPM, but then they just might want to just hit your whole list. So it's Yeah, it's cool because, again, the way we communicate with our users, we're very protective of things like their email. So we'll never share your email with a brand. Again, the only time a brand will ever get an email from our user is if they fully opt in to share with the brand directly. So through a giveaway, that's entirely up to you and the brand, whether you want to share that email or not. But if you're providing an email on sign up with Surf, we're not sharing your email to any brand, no matter how many times they ask or how much they pay. Out of the pathway to purchase, the data research, and the rewards, which out of the three has your clients found the most valuable and used the most?
I think definitely overall browsing insights and then giveaways. Giveaways have been really cool. I think obviously we're not the first giveaways platform in the world. And you might even ask the question like, well, couldn't a company just run a giveaway on their own? I think there's some things that are very special about what we do with giveaways. Like, for example, we auto-generate sweepstakes rules for over 85 regions in the world, which means that you as a company don't have to get your legal team involved to go through indemnities and warrants and all the legal agreements associated to giveaways. It's all auto-created for some of the most popular regions you'll probably want to run the giveaway in. The second thing is we also have a sandbox of 41 different integrations where you can drive traffic to various places. So your rules could be use 100 surf points to enter the giveaway. For more entries now, sign up for our newsletter, download our app, watch something, go to this link, buy something from our store, follow us on Twitter, follow us on TikTok, follow us on Instagram. We have all of these integrations built in already that a simple brand could come on and just run a customizable giveaway right away to drive traffic to various places they care about. So it is a very sophisticated and advanced giveaways platform. I think that feature along with browsing insights are definitely the two most popular things on our platform.
That's amazing. What do you see being the long-term play with Surf? will it get to a place, is the goal like to get to a place where everyone has individualized rewards and each reward speaks specifically to them because you have so much data of them, and basically it's a win-win situation because like they're sort of earning points which they could trade in for the rewards? Like what's the long-term play, you reckon?
Yeah, no, I love your ideas, by the way. They're all kind of directly in line with, conversations we have almost weekly. Personalized marketplace is definitely one thing on our 2023 roadmap. So like, can we personalize the rewards you see immediately based on their browsing behavior? We're definitely looking to expand to a few more regions. So the UK is next, a couple of other European regions, India and Brazil, which are very prominent on our wait list, are in 2023 as well as part of our roadmap. And then we're also looking to get our mobile solution out because right now it's just an extension on desktop. But a ton of people browse on their phone. They also have a bunch of app usage data that we'll be able to tap into. What apps you click into, how long you spend in the apps, the app traffic itself. And that's the type of data we'll be able to collect with our mobile solution that'll come out in a few months. That's kind of the immediate roadmap. I think the long-term roadmap is, can we allow a consumer to monetize every aspect of the digital footprint? So desktop browsing data, mobile app usage data, purchasing data, fitness data, geolocation data. Can we allow you to monetize all of that through Surf? That is kind of the end goal for us, is being able to set up different integrations that help you connect various data sources, and if you want to, get additional points and be able to immediately monetize every aspect of your digital footprint.
Is there like browser smart enough where like, let's say I'm on Forbes and I'm looking at this article of like Nike, how they scaled to X amount or how they're now a $1 trillion company, for example. Are you guys able to scrape all the keywords on that page that I visited to with your extension, like sort of Google SEO?
Yeah, it's really cool. Like the data we collect allows us to tap into not just a URL, but the subdomain as well, which means we will know the title of the publication, or the article that you read. We'll know the content within the article. We even know things like if an ad was shown to you, like what pages you're on that have an ad embedded in it. So one of the things we haven't built out yet, which we're really excited to get into next year on the analytics side, is showing companies what people do after they see an ad. Do they click into the ad? What do they search after they saw your ad? That's the sort of attribution data that currently is missing in today's world, and what we're hoping to be able to solve next year.
Do you guys just have this massive vault of data that you're just building out algorithms to eventually figure out how to sort of tag and make sense of, and you just have all this data just being collected, slowly being uncovered?
Yeah, we're close to 2 billion URLs now from our users in about 7 months. It's crazy. We're growing about 5.6 million URLs per day right now. So yeah, we have like a chest of anonymized and GDPR compliant, ethically sourced data, which we're really happy about, that we can now kind of glean insights from, obviously depending on what customers want to see and what they want to get.
When you said that, you guys could also see like advertisements that are embedded on that website. Like, what does that mean? Because like, do you see a visual? Do you visually have like a...
No, we don't visually see it. We can just, we can understand based on the pixel associated to the ad, what ad it is. Like if it was a Foot Locker ad or a Reebok ad, we can't obviously visually see what the ad looked like. But we can understand if an ad was displayed on a page that we went on, and then obviously understand what you did after, which again is the information we would very much want to provide a company.
Interesting. So let's say you scraped a bunch of data of a bunch of people who clicked on a Foot Locker ad. You could then see where they were beforehand, see if majority of them were reading an article about soccer, and now Foot Locker knows that soccer related articles lead to them visiting. Oh, wow.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
That is amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty rich data. But again, the beauty of it is that no user has to feel afraid of their name even being involved, because we don't even ask for that info. So I love the fact that everything is anonymized. It's always going to be that way. I don't anticipate changing the onboarding to ask for things like first and last name ever. So we're excited just with kind of the approach of being, privacy first, but also more importantly, transparent with our users about everything we do on our back end.
How does Google work? Because you know how you can go on Google Chrome and you see your past search history and you can just see what you've searched. Are they legally not allowed to attach that search history to your Google account and email and name?
No, they're not allowed doing that for sure. Unless you again fully opt in, which they don't currently have a service to allow that. They do take insights though, right? That's Google Analytics, which is quite surface level. Like Google Analytics will tell you here is where people have come from, to your site, here's where people mainly came from, here's where they went after. Here are kind of the audiences that tend to come on your site in terms of age or in terms of just, where they're located based on their IP address. But again, the data we're obviously talking about here with Surf is a lot more detailed, especially across not just search results, but also across, individual websites, like what pages on Facebook are the most popular that 18 to 24-year-old females in New York go to on a monthly basis. That's the type of stuff you will never get from Google Analytics.
So cool. What has been the biggest bottleneck stopping you guys to scale regionally? Has it all just been legalities? But isn't it just like a simple...
Yeah, it's not legality at all. We're GDPR, we're CCPA compliant. I always joke, going to the UK, there's no legal stuff there because like GDPR requires companies to let people request their data, download their data, and delete their data. We let our users do all three of that along with compensating people for their data, which is not something that any privacy regulation in the world right now dictates companies to do. I hope privacy regulation does that in like 3 to 5 years. And I do think we're setting a new standard for privacy in terms of what we're doing with Surf. But right now, we are over and beyond what regulation requires companies to do. The biggest thing for us is, number one, do we have a marketing budget in order to be able to scale quickly in that new region, partner with influencers in that region, run paid ads, work with, press and publications within that region that a lot of people, for example, in England read. And then secondly, I want to find local reward partners. Ideally, if people in England come on, I don't want them to just see international conglomerates in the rewards marketplace. I want them to see Pret. I want them to see Sainsbury. I want them to see their local grocery store or their, fast food chain that is very local to the UK, because that'll allow them to relate to our brand a lot better.
Got it. So if you were to just release the extension worldwide, anyone can install it. Not everyone could actually use the rewards because they're located in different... Would it just make it seem too spread out and too thin? Is that the reason why you didn't just go worldwide?
Yeah, I just don't think the consumer value prop would be there. I just think a lot of people would definitely download it, but a lot of people would just uninstall it because it'd come on and they'd be like, well, there's no reward here that I could actually use and redeem because all of these are mainly based in Canada and the US. And that, by the way, is written in a lot of our reward statements. It's like, you can only redeem this in the Canadian Nike marketplace or the Reebok US marketplace. So that is one big reason. I think the second thing, again, is, for us, when it comes to getting data, we want to make sure that we're getting data from active users as well, not just people who are downloading the extension. So that's where we also want to take our time to build a relationship with our users, make sure that they feel comfortable with what we're doing here, because it is a paradigm shift in some ways. And we want to make sure that we're taking time in building that relationship with our users, because I think a lot of companies have gone for the Armageddon, let's get data at all costs play, and that's obviously been terrible for consumer trust. So I really want to take our time to just build consumer trust, because if we nail that part, I know that we can be a data partner for people across other types of data as well, not just browsing data.
For each market, how many months or how long does it usually take to load up all the rewards partners or the data customers or the acquisitions for just users? Like, you have to load up a lot beforehand for each market. Like, how long does that take?
Well, the data customers is not necessary because, again, the cool thing about our rewards marketplace is that it's fully subsidized by our brand customers. We don't pay anything out of pocket anymore. So from a gross margins perspective, our costs are actually mainly on the customer support side for enterprises and on our server costs for the analytics platform. There's nothing around user acquisition costs or being able to pay people for, redeeming rewards. That's not part of our costs anymore, which is pretty great. But yeah, on the data customer side as well, it's worth noting, like, we do have customers globally. So it's not just, our customer base is definitely, primarily in North America, but we do have like Wunderman Thompson UK, for example, that signed up about a year ago because they were interested in North American data. North American audiences are very key for a lot of conglomerates and big companies, and they're very interested in understanding what people in North America are doing. On the reward side, we're now at over 40 reward partners that we've gotten for the UK marketplace. We started, that big kind of campaign to find them and bring them on about 3 weeks ago. And we're launching obviously in a week in the UK. So yeah, 3 to 4 weeks, I think, is what we kind of need as a buffer period to bring on a bunch of reward partners. It's also worth noting, we went back to a lot of our existing reward partners and said, hey, Ulta Beauty, for example, are you willing to also provide rewards that people in the UK can redeem and use? Right. So we did go to a lot of our existing partners as well and say, can you expand your offering so it factors in the UK? But yeah, that's pretty much it. Again, with the UK launch coming up, the first and biggest marketing channel for us is going to be our waitlist. We have over 8,000 people in the UK that have signed up for the waitlist to be notified when we're available in that region. So we're going to be sending them a few emails in the first 2 weeks after we launch.
I love how you guys have been really like steady with it and like sticking with like a small pool, really making sure that pool has the best experience possible. Everything's inbound through a form, so you're not just accepting everyone in. You've been slowly sort of spreading it and making sure that all parties are happy. Like it's just, it's such a patient approach.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, don't get me wrong. Obviously, if I raised $100 million tomorrow, I'd love to bring up a bunch of teams and say, hey guys, we're going after 5 new countries in this quarter. But again, we're not at that stage yet, right? We're going through right now and we're going to do our Series A fundraise. We're going to raise our B round, hopefully in late 2023, early 2024, and try to scale this in the most organic, but also in the best way possible. Again, I don't want to be a company that doesn't build a sustainable model. I know there's a bunch of rewards apps right now that they raised a lot of money and they like spend 50% of what money they raise paying users out of their own pocket. And again, to be able to, to get to this 100% subsidized marketplace has been a big achievement for us because we know now we have a sustainable business model that can definitely take on more users if need be.
Right now, with the data customers, is it similar to like a SaaS model where there's just a monthly sort of subscription cost to get access to all the data live?
Yeah, it is. And a lot of our customers do pay on an annual and biannual basis. So they pay upfront for 12 to 24 month access to the platform.
Interesting. And that will probably be the main driver revenue-wise for the company long term.
It is. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's actually currently, by the way, the only revenue source is just the analytics platform and subscriptions from there. One thing we have thought a bit about is maybe when people use a $20 off next purchase code at Reebok, maybe we should take a commission or transaction fee from that. We haven't done one yet, but we know some of our reward partners are open to it from the kind of the early conversations we've had. So it might be a secondary line of revenue we look at in the next few months.
Yeah, that reminds me of like the cashback sort of companies and schemes, how like the companies would pay to reach their whole email list with the rewards offer. And like if they're able to run a whole company off that, and that's just something you're doing on the side or secondary, like huge potential.
It is. And the cool thing, again, the biggest difference between us and any of the Rakutens of the world or whatever is the cashback model requires people to make a purchase first before they get points. We don't have to do that, right? We can give people points up front. They can go and use those points, and then we can make our money when they go and use their points and get value. It's a win-win-win for the brand, for the user, and for us.
Interesting. Are you in the crypto space at all by any chance, Swish?
Not yet. We've thought a little bit about it. And the reason I said not yet is because it's definitely something we've thought about on our roadmap. One of the things we have thought a lot about is from kind of feedback we've gotten from our users is can we tokenize surf points and maybe get a surf token? Because a lot of users love our rewards marketplace, but some users want tangible cash, not rewards as good as cash. They want real cash. So we have thought a little bit about tokenization. We've talked a little bit even about, the data system we built out. What if it was decentralized and, companies essentially could buy consumer data like they were on Amazon? Like you could query the system for 18 to 24-year-old males in Toronto and get a packet of data that has all the information you need in it. Imagine that to be the system now and not a visual dashboard that has graphs and all these other visuals that some companies generally don't need because they have a 15-person data science team and can model everything out on their own. So that's something, again, that we're thinking about. We haven't pulled the trigger on anything yet, but we're definitely observing the market and trying to gauge where we go from there.
Currently, what's the biggest sort of analytics data company out there in the world at the moment that sells data to these top companies?
There are a few. I mean, on the market research side, I'd look at like Qualtrics, Gartner. Those are some of the bigger ones. Again, they're not related only to marketing data. Some of them also do like HR, for example, or financial data. In the marketing space, I mean, legacy web data providers include SimilarWeb, Comscore, Nielsen. I think Nielsen's a very big one. So those are some of the legacy players that typically rely on cookies and traffic panels to generate their data, not kind of a consumer app like we built out that's generating it in a more ethical way, in my opinion.
How big can those companies get? Because they're relying on like the, like the top 500 companies who sort of need that data. But once you go below the top 500 companies, like the local mom and pop shop isn't really going to be buying data.
Yeah, well, and I mean, they probably wouldn't want to. I mean, Google Analytics is a decent example of a platform that, even small businesses kind of got behind. Again, it's so long in the future right now because, we're just cracking the nut for enterprise right now. Like there's so many more enterprises for us to sell our data into, but that might be the next step. Imagine you do kind of reach a ceiling on the enterprise side and you need to look a bit more downstream. That's one approach. The second approach is to add, again, a secondary line of revenue, right? It's why we've been thinking a lot about this commission-based, affiliate-based commission that we could take, is because, it could be a cash cow. Like if we have, right now about 20% of our users are redeeming rewards each month, and it's a big number, right? We're looking at about 40,000 users that are going and making purchases using rewards that they've gotten from Surf. So for us to take, even 5% or 3% of that could be a pretty big value over time.
Yeah, because I was just thinking it'd be so crazy if I could go in and be like, hey, I want to target all the people who are interested in business, and here's a 20% coupon for those people, and I pay you a set CPM for those to reach those people. It would just be like a Facebook advertising model type of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But even better because you're actually getting conversion right away. They're that's the cool thing about what I think we're offering is when it comes to the reward side, we're providing this kind of new form of advertising that's through rewards. And I just find that to be a much better way than just putting a banner ad up, because the banner ad is great for awareness, but it doesn't necessarily mean that someone is going to buy from your brand. But when you provide a reward, if I got a $20 off next purchase code and I redeemed it, at some point I'm probably going to use it. It would be a waste of my points if I just redeemed it randomly. So it does drive conversion. It does drive purchase when you provide rewards.
It reminds me, so I have a friend who has a meat company, and he sells ham and sliced meats to Woolworths, our big grocery store. And for him to promote his product in the store in Woolworths, is he has to offer a discount on his meat. So if it goes from $4 down to $2.50, he's paying $1.50 for every single sale. So it's weird. So he's the promotion is giving a discount, which obviously you're paying for because now you're losing $1.50 for each order. So it's a different model of advertising.
Different model of advertising, and keep in mind as well that Reebok Canada, for example, imagine you got their code for $20 off next purchase. You bought something for $60, so you paid $40. Even if Reebok Canada was oh man, they pay $20 is kind of steep, we don't want to acquire users for that amount. Keep in mind that you are also providing your email to Reebok when you make a purchase. So for them, they now have the ability to retarget you whenever they want, wherever they want on your own terms. They could send you the Christmas catalog, for example, and get you to buy something full price again. That's another big value for our reward partners is they're not only driving initial purchases, but they're also getting information now that they can then use for retargeting later on.
That's super cool. Swish, have you had a tech background? Do you know how to code and all that stuff?
No, honestly, no. Half the stuff I've been talking about here has just been learning from the development team and product. Just, I work very kind of closely with product and marketing especially. But no, I don't have a technical background. My background is very much within marketing. My co-founder, Onik, is a little bit more technical than I am. He studied at Stanford Management Sciences and Engineering with a concentration in data science. And then our CTO, Andrew, he's been in Silicon Valley for over 35 years. He's built 3 companies. He's sold one of them to Cradlepoint. The company is called Pertino. So he's had a whole background in network security. He's probably the most technical person I've ever met. So I've just learned a lot, honestly, being around my CTO, being around the product team, being a little bit more tactical and hands-on than a CEO might want to be.
That's super cool.
Yep.
A problem that I'm going through, and I'd love to get your thoughts on. So we're sort of building out this education sort of platform, and I have 2 full-time developers, and I'm using the platform. I'm not happy with it. There's so many little bugs that are happening. Every time a new feature implements, I'm just tearing it apart. And there's so much that 2 people working, they're working 16 hours a day. There's just so much they can do, and I'm catching way more mistakes at a much faster pace than they're able to fix these mistakes. So I feel it's such a large bottleneck, and I guess, and even if I got more developers, I feel there's this diminishing return type of thing where more developers, not if I get 4 developers, they're gonna fix twice as many things. It's actually gonna maybe only. So I'm in this weird problem. I'm not happy with the product, but I gotta be patient because they can't fix it in a second. And I'm maybe I should learn how to code so I can fix it myself.
Yeah, well, even now, we have a big backlog. We have a big backlog on bugs. I think the biggest thing for me is I trust my CTO now to like prioritize things properly. So, if there are simple bugs that we can fix within a day, he'll make sure we do that. If there are things that'll take 2 weeks, he'll obviously look at other things that might take 2 weeks and try to see, okay, is this going to potentially boost revenue? Is this going to boost user growth? This is a highly requested item. He'll stack rank the items and then go about, setting a pipeline or setting kind of a sprint from there. So that's the biggest thing you can really do is if you are, working with 2 developers, I mean, just know like things are going to break almost every day. There are going to be so many bugs that you're going to spot. I still find bugs in our product, especially on the analytics side, because there's so much new stuff we're adding in every single day. And we're also categorizing close to 2 billion URLs. So sometimes like things will break. But again, as many bugs as I like to find now, I also try to obviously point them out, but then still help the team stack rank them to really like when I do report a bug, I do tell people like, hey, this is something I'd love to be, I'd love for it to be fixed in a day. I'd love for it to be fixed in a week. And then there's some stuff that I'm like, just add this to the backlog. We can get around to it next quarter, or we can get around to it next year. So I just find being a little bit more clear with my developers on like priorities whenever I kind of spot a bug has been pretty helpful to kind of their job and how they stack rank and prioritize different things.
Interesting. What's the best way to stack rank things? Like let's say you have things from cosmetic changes, small bugs, a button's not working, you want a better AI that can sort data better, and that's a big project, but that's important, but you can't complete it in a day. How do you stack rank so many different, what's the best method?
So the best method I found is user experience trumps everything. So if something like it's a color change, that is not what I define as user experience. I define like functionality first. So like if a button doesn't work, if I can't go through the onboarding flow properly, if I can't redeem a reward, if I'm not earning points, those are like fundamental issues that deserve to be the highest priority. Past that, there's definitely the larger long-term revenue projects, right? So like, adding in ML and AI, for example, to sort through your data at a higher velocity might be something you want to build in. You might want to look at taking a look at, your filtering and segmentation capabilities and deepening them. You might want to look at visualization and summarization and making that more beautiful. That's all long-term projects that I typically set across a quarter. So, again, 4 quarters in a year, you're probably going to have 4 long-term projects, typically. You might obviously have more if you have a much bigger dev team, but typically you'll have 4 big long-term projects that will hopefully get done every quarter. And you'll hopefully be able to kind of see progress every month. And then the final thing is obviously all the color changes, the text changes, the font changes. I mean, those are kind of like near the bottom. And, the reason they're near the bottom is because devs are human beings, right? Like devs have days where they're like, I do not want to work, but like, I might as well just look at the bottom of the backlog, see what's easy and just get my momentum going. It's similar to me. Like if I ever feel like I'm demotivated to do work, I try to find the easiest task I could possibly do, get it done, and then that kind of gets me in a groove. So I typically call it like the bin list. And if you just put something in the bin list, typically it's not going to go and stay in the bin list for 5 months. It'll be done, but it'll be done more on the dev's time whenever they can kind of get to it and whenever they feel like they need to get motivated again.
Yeah, I think I need to redo it because right now I just have like important, urgent, super urgent, super urgent. So I think you're right. Like just sorting into like an easy bin list, then like a projects like sort of list, and then like user experience, anything that's affecting users today.
Yeah, exactly. Like putting out a fire is one thing, but like on the long-term side, you definitely put the nice to haves, and then obviously put in some of these longer term projects, but try to keep them quarterly. Like don't try to, set yearly dev projects. They typically, either never happen or they always, they're always delayed. They're definitely not scoped out. If you're setting a project for 1 year, they're definitely not properly scoped out with clarity, and kind of UX probably hasn't been done yet to even understand what the parameters of that project will entail. So typically the longest projects are quarterly.
Do you have like a staging version or testing version of the app? Yep. Wherever a new extension's created, then it goes into there, and then you go through revisions again and again until it's good, then you put into the live?
Yeah, we have definitely a staging version, both for our extension and our web app, as well as our analytics platform. So we have kind of 3 staging environments. And then absolutely, before we submit anything to Chrome or Safari or Firefox, we definitely test it on staging and then submit it for release on production. And then same thing with analytics and with our web app, like our rewards marketplace, which is obviously independent from the extension. It's worth noting, one of the things we're lacking as a team right now is QA. We typically as a team all rally together to do quality assurance. Like the marketing team will be assigned like 3 things to test. The sales team will be assigned to things to test. We're kind of all rallying as a team to get things tested. But obviously, like in a couple of months, especially after we raise, I'm hoping we'll have like a dedicated QA team.
Yeah. With QA, do you have to check every single thing, even if, like, let's say you create a new feature that is pretty independent from everything else, would you still go through the onboarding process just to see if that was affected in?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. We typically, again, like if the code doesn't touch that aspect, then probably not. But like most of the early code changes we're making will likely touch every aspect of like the onboarding, redemptions, earnings, all of that. So it is just important to do one test really quickly because we don't want things to break. But again, I mean, like if the change, for example, was like we made a more colorful UX and we added in like a couple of new words into the settings page and we gave people the ability to download their data, I mean, that's probably not going to change the onboarding flow that much. So we don't test that as rigorously for sure.
And how do you balance between like revisions and working on the staging version versus live? Because it's like things that you need to fix live, you need to fix as soon as possible, but then you always have a ton of different things in staging and you're constantly throwing it back into fix this, fix that, fix that. I think that's how everything is powered up, where it's just a bunch of staging revisions and a few fires to put out that are really important for live.
Yeah, obviously number one, like early on, like when things were breaking, which I would say they were breaking quite often actually within the first 2-3 months of the extension coming out. Like we had, redemption issues, we had people not earning properly, we had people not able to sign up even if they were in North America. We had a bot issue as well. Like we had a few people that figured out a way to skirt the system and were like just searching like on Bing, for example, like clicking every 2 seconds to earn more points. So we had to build in like a daily, weekly, and monthly cap on points. So people can only earn up to a certain amount. And we've looked at like the average amount of time people browse for, because we're not trying to encourage you to browse 20 hours a day, for example. But again, with all of those problems, we learned so much. So again, would I trade those problems in? Absolutely not. I think those were good problems to have. Going to your question, I mean, definitely we had to pause things that we wanted to release that were in the backlog, but eventually you get to this point of stability, right? And that's where you can start looking at new features. It's like Formula One, man. Like, you can't work on a shitty car and put in the best aero package until you fix the powertrain, right? Like you need to prioritize certain parts of the car first, make sure it's functioning, make sure it's actually good, before you start putting in like the key performance upgrades that actually make the car really fast.
That's a beautiful metaphor. What was the main catalyst for Surf?
Yeah, I think for us 3.5-4 years ago when we started the company, we were thinking a lot about data, but we're thinking about it more in a third-party context. So we're thinking like, can we look at your Instagram and Twitter data and help you segment and filter it quickly? Because right now on Instagram, if I have 70,000 followers, for example, like I can't look at all 70,000 people and see who's in Toronto. Like I can't do that. But it would be amazing through our platform to integrate your account. You can see all the people that have the keyword vegan in their bio that are 0 to 100,000 followers and have the location Toronto. You can see all those people right away. I think as we started to learn more about this privacy conscious future, this cookieless world, the Apple iOS changes, regulation like GDPR, CCPA that prioritize opt-in data, we started thinking more about what the future of data collection will look like. And our thesis is that people need to be compensated when they share their data. So we decided to actually go and test that out with giveaways initially. We ran some really big giveaways for Electronic Arts and Polaris and Amazon Prime Gaming, the UFC, Bud Light, etc. We had over 1 million people in 2020 share their data for the chance to win a prize. And we decided that was kind of a tick, like we've ticked a box. People are definitely willing to share their data if there's something potentially coming back to them. The only problem with giveaways, obviously, is a lot of people lose and only one person wins. So we thought, why not build an extension then where everybody wins? And again, if you want to use your points to enter a giveaway, by all means do that. But at least everybody has the ability to get compensated for their data equally, no matter who you are or where you go on the internet.
With the giveaway, how did people give you their data? Because that was before the extension was created, correct?
Yes. Well, that was, before the extension was launched, we definitely had a giveaways platform. The experience actually looks very similar to what it is now. So when you click giveaways, even in our marketplace now, and you want to use your points to enter a giveaway, which is obviously a new feature because before the extension, we didn't let people use their points to enter a giveaway. There was no points in the first place. So before we launched the extension, you really just came in and did the actions. So that's where we had the sandbox of like, go and follow this account on Instagram, follow them on Twitter, TikTok, provide your email, provide your phone number, sign up for this, and you'll get more entries and obviously a higher likelihood to win the more entries you do. You could really just do one entry if you wanted to, but obviously if you do more, you have a higher likelihood to win. So we took that concept, we still have it now, but obviously the core entry method now, the high level entry method is you can use your surf points to enter the giveaway, which you obviously weren't able to do before the extension came out.
Now, what was the difference between, or what made that giveaway unique compared to like when you went to the supermarket and it was like, win this car, log in and write down your details, or like, subscribe, and then follow us on all these? Like, did that not exist back then, or were you guys the first to do it?
It did. I mean, on Instagram, I know I saw so many giveaways where people were like, yeah, follow me and my friend on Instagram and check out the link in our bio. But like, it wasn't measurable, like I could follow you on Instagram and then just unfollow you 3 days after. I could click your link in your bio, but you wouldn't even know if I actually clicked the link or not. You would just get some traffic and like, oh, okay, it probably worked. 20,000 more people visited my site. Great. But you don't actually know if they actually did it or not. So I think what we did is we added in a bunch of more integrations. So like, one of our integrations is like buy something from a company store and you'll get additional tickets. Like that is not something that a person could build overnight. It's deep code. It's proprietary to our giveaways platform. We obviously measure everything, so we validate the action to make sure it actually happened. We auto-generate sweepstakes rules, which are incredibly important right now, because if you put out a sweepstakes now and you don't have proper rules, you'll just get flagged. You might even get a lawsuit. And then finally, we also really did a good job of taking all the giveaway data and putting it into our analytics platform. So in the analytics platform now, you could actually see all the people who entered your giveaway and all the information you have on each one of them. So if you gave me an email, I'll see that. If you gave me a phone number, I'll see that. If you didn't give either information, but you gave your Twitch ID, I'll see that. So you kind of have audience profiles built out in our platform now that you can then go and export and start using for retargeting whenever you want.
Wow. Was there like a purpose or a need that made you build this, or did you just think it was a good idea? Let's try this out and let's see if we collect data.
I don't think there was a kind of a deep-rooted purpose, obviously. Like, I don't think I grew up being like, I'm going to, compensate people for their data. I don't think that was a thought that ever came to my head. I just think marketing is something, obviously, I've been very passionate about for a long time. I'm very passionate about the problems in the marketeers face. I think the biggest problem coming up is going to be cookies going away on Chrome next year. That's going to have a humongous effect on companies. I think Twilio had a state of consumer engagement report they released last year where they found 81% of companies are still dependent on third-party data like cookies, traffic panels, trackers. 55% of those companies say they're not ready for a cookieless world, and it's literally coming up next year. So I'm very passionate about all of that, and that's why I thought, building a solution wherein we don't just serve enterprises, but we actually compensate people for their data is just cool. It's a world that I personally would want to live in, a world where every person has the ability to monetize their personal data if they want to do that.
That's amazing. I really appreciate your time today, Swish. I could go on forever, but I want to be respectful for your time. Where can people find out more about what you do and follow you along on your journey?
Sure, yeah. If you're interested in surf, check out joinsurf.com. Again, we do have a wait list. So if you are in Australia, New Zealand, India, whatever, feel free to join our wait list and we can notify you when it's available in your region. And then LinkedIn is definitely the best place to connect with me. Just Swish Goswami should hopefully be the only Swish in your network. And that's the best place to get in touch.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for your time today, Swish. I really appreciate it. Like, we were able to, I was surprised. Like, I went really deep. I was able to really nerd out with you, and I can definitely tell you're in the trenches. You're like Elon Musk, where he's like at the factory. You're trying to figure out, work with the developers, not only focus on the marketing side of things, but you really want to get into nitty-gritty. I could tell you've been like bug testing. You want to create a good experience for your customer, and you're just as frustrated as me when you see something that's not good, because you're like, no, my customers are not going to be happy. So I can definitely see like you're like a purebred entrepreneur.
Appreciate that. Definitely didn't happen overnight. A lot of learning just from, experiences I've had with people who left the company before, experiences I've had from mentors that I've had, books I've read. The pandemic definitely helped in terms of my management style. So thank you so much. That means a lot, but it wasn't something that I was just born with, for sure. Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys, for watching this episode. If you guys made it this far, I really appreciate your time. If you guys made it all the way to the end, please give me a review on Apple and Spotify. I really want to get your thoughts and get some feedback on what I can do to improve with these episodes. And yeah, thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you guys next week with another episode. Peace.